There are so many ways our emotions interact with our health. And so today we're going to just visit, 4 dimensions of what constitutes mental health. And maybe you're already doing all 4, but maybe you're not. So we had a support group 2 weeks ago on Wednesday night at 6 o'clock, Healing Possibilities support group. And I asked about who feels like they're a glass half full person and a glass half empty person. Shocker, almost half of the peeps were glass half empty. So we talked about that and identified, various stresses in the F areas of our life: friends, family, faith, fun, fitness, and especially funding and finances. And that's where a lot of people said a lot of the wellspring of the joy of their life had dribbled out. So we talked about just naturally, practically trending from pessimism to more optimism. And I'm wondering if maybe that's something you'd like to do too. Adding to your life cup either by a few dribbles or maybe even a few ounces. Well, there are 4 important ways we can do this, as outlined in a really good book by Sue Varna. And her book is called Practical Optimism. So there are 4 things that practical optimism is and 4 that they're not. So let's look at the nots first. So this is not toxic positivity, like being a cheerleader when your team is behind 86-0. It is not that. It's not a spiritual bypass where you say, hey, it all comes from God, so I declare it all good. I wanted to throttle people who had that attitude toward me when I was diagnosed with brain cancer. That was not especially good. And so I think, since that happened to me, I've come to see the source, the Alpha, the Omega, the Creator, the divine intelligence, as more of the energy of life itself and life eternal. So that energy can be a beautiful, lovely little light snow shower, or it can be a whiteout blizzard. It's just the energy. So we don't have to label it good or not good. It just is. And that's what our emotional life is. We don't need to dress it up or make it into something it's not. But if we want to drop a little more of that life water of life's goodness into our cup, then there are 4 things we can do. The way I remember them is to say, Mommy is a mastermind. My mom is 91 and she must have mastered something. So let's look at what each one of these are. The MO is for movement. This really increases our endorphins and a lot of other good hormones that help us to see things in a more optimistic and problem-solving light. So the deal with movement is that you just take a 10-minute break 1 to 6 times a day and get your body moving. Whatever it is you like to do, yoga, tai chi, qigong, walking, pickleball, whatever it is, just do that numerous times a day. And then the second one is, of course, mindfulness. That's being here now, like taking 32 chews to eat a raisin. You're just really somatically centered and grounded. I like what Sue Varna says about the most beneficial ways to be mindful, and they are simply to be in nature, to be breathing deeply out there, and to be in appreciation, to be in gratitude of what's around you. And there's one more. Obviously, it's being outside, but you can be more mindful anywhere, even in the line at the grocery store or wherever. So the next one would be mastery, or as I like to look at it more, as improving something. So whatever you're doing, if that's, parenting, could you do that maybe 5% more and up level that? If you're working, you could do that. If you're in your primary relationship, could you be 5% maybe more kind or thoughtful or compassionate or uplifting, in that realm? So you don't have to add becoming a French pastry chef to your list of things you can do. Just whatever you're doing, up level it a little bit. Try to be more masterful in that, and you'll have this one baked in the cake. And then the last one is to meaningful engage with other humanoids. So this one is important because we are herd animals to some extent, herd mammals, and so it behooves us, to be amongst our people because we can both commiserate and celebrate, both really super important. So I like people who give me concrete examples of what they're talking about. It helps me really get my mind around it. So I'm going to use myself as an example. And this is the week of the year when I usually travel with my older sister and we go snorkeling in Florida. She jilted me and took her husband because their relationship needed a boost. Okay, fine, happy about that. But I'm not. But I don't want that to impact my heart because, the healthier my heart is, the healthier all of me is because it's oxygenated. So in terms of movement, I'm not swimming with her snorkeling, so I've been going to the Y. In terms of mastery, I'm swimming 2 more laps than I did the last time, each time I go. In terms of being mindful about it, I am thinking about each stroke. I am feeling the water. I am grabbing it. I'm pushing it behind me. I'm right there and I'm breathing. And then lastly, I'm meaningfully engaging with the other people at the Y. I come away feeling much better than I did going in. And I'm dripping wet, and I think of those drops as going into my cup of life and just filling it up just a little bit more. So I hope this has been helpful in helping you see ways you can dribble some of those additional divinely awesome drops of life into your cup. And I would even say it's okay if it spills over. It just expands and flows over. And I hope it does for you. So let's take all of that into a time of prayerfulness, shall we? So just getting centered, just being grounded, wherever we find ourselves, whatever we're sitting on, wherever we are, let's just fill our beautiful body temple with a breath in through our nose and out through our mouth. Just letting our shoulders drop, just letting our low bellies inflate and deflate, and just knowing this is the breath of life. It supports and sustains us through every moment of our lives. It is ever present, ever faithfully there, ever available, always full of possibilities. And so are our lives. So I speak a word of deep, heartfelt, metaphysically and physically felt gratitude for this life of being able to be a possibility thinker, to look at ways that I can embrace movement, mindfulness, meaningful connection, and more into my life. I love being open at the top. I'm in gratitude for that. I'm in gratitude for people who are living lives that I can emulate, who seem to be in touch with that deep, deep, divine life source of intelligence, that creative, ultimate presence that infuses every cell, tissue, and fiber of me. And I furthermore know with my breath and with my entire being that I can never be distanced from that. I'm never discounted from that or demeaned from that or diminished, because it is ineffably, inextricably, intimately who I am. That is the truest truth of me. I am here by the grace of that divine intelligence that imagined me, brought me into being, and sustains me with every breath and, of course, every heartbeat of my life. I declare in this moment that is the truth of all of us, and that the divine law moves through us and makes up-leveling and upliftment and expansion so very present and so very possible. And I just release this now, knowing that Spirit is here with me, as me, for me, and certainly within me, as we all simply say together, Amen.